for day 5 of the Magnus International tournament. So we're looking right now at okay, I don't know what that is. Oh, that was the other match. Okay. Alright, so we're just waiting for the start of the games. Have someone else's board here. Waiting for the people to join our stream. And today we have Caruana versus Carlsen and Firuza versus Nakamura. It's kind of sunny today, yeah? It's kind of sunny, so I need to get some curtains on. I mean, sun is good, but too much sun is not that great, yeah? So, it's 5 o'clock. These guys should start. We don't see them. There's some people on the Chess24 doing some commentary today. Anything else going on? I don't see it. Alright. Where is the show? Where is the show? What's going on Lichess? Lichess, they're doing some things here, but nothing much, I guess. Okay, so we see the game starting finally. And they are delayed for some reason here. Oh, that was Ding versus Caruana. Okay, so that was yesterday's round. Did this? When they started today, it should be same time. Every day games will be played starting at 14 UTC. So they should be starting, unless they have the rest day, which I don't think they have. 20 goes to 5. So what is going on? Where are the games? Maybe there is no games today. Yeah, let's check the schedule. What does it say here? Well, I think they said something that they should be today, right? So Magnus International, schedule live games every day from 16 Central, which is the which is this. And where are the games? Hi everybody, we're surprised by yesterday's results? Not really, no. I'm surprised that these guys are behind on the schedule. Hi guys, hi Radagast, hi Water Power. Hi chat, only 3 people in the chat so far, I think. So Firuza versus Nakamura is extremely interesting, right? I mean, Nakamura was a child prodigy himself, and very, very strong when he was 16, right? He won the US Championship first time, and there started his fast and high rise to the top of the world. So Firuza is Europe-based so far. Hi Giga guys. Checking my games. There are games today. Yeah, there are games today. That's what I'm saying. They said every day at about this time, and I don't see any games. So they are slightly maybe technical glitches, so they're trying to improve their website, whatever. I apologize. I'm not used to streaming every day, so I'm a bit low on energy. So, but I'll try to do my best. Ooh, Alekhine defense by Carlsen. And Caruana is going straight for the 4 pawns formation line. That's perfect fighting opening. Fears up against Nakamura, Queen's Gambit declined, boo. It's like, no fun. Boo. Come on guys, it's like, who needs? See, take example from this dude. You know, he's playing Alekhine, G6. G6 is unusual. I think taking on e5 is more usual. So G6, wait. G6, knight c3, bishop g7. Let's quickly go here. Let's see if this was played before. I'm actually not familiar with G6 line. What is this? Usually take on e5, f takes e5, bishop f5, e6, knight c6, which is the main line. But G6, okay, it's been played. Knight c3, bishop g7. Then we have Magnus thinking, right? Alright, so this all happened in Nakamura's previous game, right? He played this against Carlsen, right? The very same line. I'm not sure what he's trying to achieve here, but let's see what's going on here. So bishop e3 is main move. We see a lot of games here played. Black usually plays castles, bishop e6, takes on e5, and probably the black's idea in this position is to take on e5 and play f6 anyway and get his bishop sort of on the long diagonal. So you basically get some very position which is close structurally to the main line after d e5, bishop e5, e6, bishop e7, where black plays f6 later, and he still has to take with the bishop on f6 later and put the bishop back on g7. And here black sort of is trying to save a tempo, and he plays bishop e6. So, but playing this opening against by the world champion is a risky proposition. Higher than. So bishop e6, wow. So Magnus is really taking risks in this tournament. He really is trying to play some very provocative chess openings, and it's a lot of fun, right? So we are, as as spectators, we welcome, I think, such approach. Knight f3, standard stuff. Basically, just the pawn is on c4 is protected because if black takes, then queen a4 check at the end, right? And if knight takes, then queen a4 check, or queen a4 check c6. What about queen a4 check b5? I did not put the engine on, my bad. So see, the computer actually can take with the knight. Yeah, I was also looking at this line when they started already. So the idea here is black. I think black can actually take because he has b5, and even though this position is not that great, but after 97, I think black is okay. Yeah, but e6, knight g5, or b8, queen c4 or a4. Yeah, this really doesn't look good for black. Right, my point was that if white gives this check on a4, then black has b5, or actually queen d7, which is much stronger. Yeah. So okay, so this pawn is taboo, and let's see what's going on. Oh, he's thinking. Right. If white doesn't play knight f3, the games continue with white playing d5 and knight f3, but you don't really want to, put those pawns too far ahead because they might get, attacked, right? So far we have this knight a4, pretty standard, I guess. Black is gonna take on d3 maybe, play b5, queen b7, bishop d8, bishop c7, all the standard moves in this position. You just need to get out of the book. Kamsky TV, baby. I guess I'm a tube. Yeah, I'm now the official tube. Yeah, almost YouTuber, almost. So great stuff. Hello from New York. Hi guys. So knight c4 is bad. That means that bishop on e6 is really don't like playing bishop on e6. That bishop usually should be waiting for that knight f3 and then bishop g4, right? Or you play bishop f5, for example. With bishop e6, especially if you don't actually threaten to take this pawn, it just gives white an extra tempo and potential to play knight g5 later, hit that bishop, and knight starts some attacking rampage there. So maybe too provocative. There's got to be a fine line between playing a provocative opening and actually, with the consistent chess. You always playing the 4-pawn attack. I am homeless on Wi-Fi. Okay, Mr. Homeless. 4-pawn attack is a very risky business. It's a great line, but you gotta know what you're doing, right? Antonio, great to see you again. Hello from Russia. Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Russians are welcome here as well. Okay, c5 here. C5 where? Here, c5. instead of knight f3? Probably not, because knight goes back to d5, and then you mean after bishop c6? Yeah, after bishop c6 c5 you don't want to play. And here, extremely risky line, yes. So, but this is very safe line by Firouzja. Well, one thing about Firouzja Nakamura matches, you can definitely, there is no way anybody in this world can outflank Hikaru, yeah? I mean, he's got the title of being a speed demon, not for nothing. So, which is why I think Firouzja is playing this positional chess against Nakamura, and this will be interesting. So, black is going for the standard bishop e7, d8, c7 plan, because bishop in e7 was not really that great, and white's bishop on f4 is good. So, black needs to play bishop c7, exchange this pair of bishops, and also prepare for that e5 break. And you know, black has sort of a little bit cramped in space. But because the position is so closed, and eventually all the heavy pieces will be exchanged on the A file, white will have, you know, there were actually some great games by, I think, Caruana. He actually loved to play this line as white, and he proceeded to play way into the end game, and that's where he outplayed most of his opponents here. What's your bet today, Mr. Kamsky? Bets. Is he really thinking? Let's see. So they're focusing on the Caruana versus... no, they showed the Nakamura game, but they focused the webcam on the Caruana versus Carlsen. Alright, my bet... Oh, okay, so that was b3. That was played really fast. b3, which is not really first line, right? I mean, if you play d5, then of course you play bishop g4, and then this e5 pawn sort of falls, and black is okay. I'm actually very surprised about this queen b3 line, because you knowingly put your queen right where the bishop e6 is, although it's not so easy for black to use it, yeah? And queen on b3 also is a pretty standard move, because it creates some sort of pressure on this b7 pawn. But I think this line is good. a4, queen a2, and then this queen on knight d7. Probably better for white, but... Alright, so the kid plays b3. It's a very solid move. Black doesn't play c5 here, because you just grab on c5, thanks to that knight on b6 being... actually no, you're right. This is not that great, yeah? Because take, if queen d6, and you have knight e5, and then you have knight f3. Very nice trick, yeah? So, right, there's always tricks like that. So here, what is white going to do? I think black is now okay, yeah? If he has this move, then black is okay. Oh, he took on e5. Really, really lame. I'm sorry, it's not lame, but I'm just saying, you know, if black can play c5, he should be able to play c5 and undermine this whole structure here. Because if he cannot take here because of knight d7, see the evaluation, black is already better. That means the central pawn in e5 is gone because of the spin, knight on c3 is unprotected. Black is just better here. Yeah, so Magnus just basically, you know, missed his chance to get a better position on opening, because he has superior development. And this wonderful white center is practically gone, so bishop d7. And then white has to take here. And then, so maybe it's not, but okay, knight c6 looks good. And if takes, then black is better, right? So it's one move wrong and somebody is better here. And if takes, then white is better, yeah? Because of that structure. So this kind of looks ridiculous. So maybe just take on e5. But I really think that this is probably better for white, the structure. Pair of bishops, and yeah. Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Okay, maybe Magnus sees much more than me. So let's see. He just took on a5, which is pretty safe. Your camera is covering half of the A file on the Lichess board. It does. Okay. Let's see. You're right. Okay. There you go. But still, I kind of like c5. Alright, so maybe it's not that great. So take on e5, and what happened here? White took with the d-pawn just to be very safe. Right? And d-pawn is correct, because if f-pawn takes, then you really play c5. So d takes, and we have here knight c6. Black sort of completes his development, and he's ready to play f6. And white will be really behind. So I kind of kind of like the strategy. Kind of like the strategy, except that white has this knight g5 at some point. Yeah. I'm not sure about this knight e4 because white is way underdeveloped. He's trying to play knight c5 probably to prevent that f6, but I don't think it's actually preventing anything. Knight c5, and if queen c8 is a move, bishop c8 is a move, but bishop c8, then you play e6, and these knights are kind of dumb, yeah. So f5, probably rook moves, and this pawn on e6 is protected, yeah. Okay, so queen c8 is probably better, and then bishop e2 probably. Correct. Take on e5. You gotta take, otherwise, you know, black takes here, and black takes on e5, and you have this position, very strange position. White is a pawn down, but I don't think white is okay here. I don't think this was a huge threat. Maybe bishop e2 immediately, but that would equalize. Yeah, yeah. That will for sure would just be equal position. So Caruana actually plays very aggressively here, very early, very aggressive chess. Knight c5 and now queen c8, right? But white goes d5 on c5, but then knight d7, and that pawn on e5 after d5 bishop g4, and black eliminates the defender of the e5 pawn. And please turn off engine. Please turn off engine. No, I will not turn off engine because I analyzed with the engine. All right, so let's go back here. Let's turn the engine on, and f6 has been played. Knight c5. So queen c8 is correct. We looked at bishop c8 e6. We saw that the pawn on e6 is kind of protected. And let's go to. All right, let me turn off this thing. f4 is a pretty standard way for white to play this position. It's called the very famous c5 f4 bind in the Slav defense. White completely prevents black from playing e5, and white is going to play knight e3, g4, and sort of create this very unpleasant strategic, you know, bind on the black position. Since the pawn is on h6, potentially black might get into serious trouble if white gets to play g5, h4. Right. Thank you for following. Thank you for joining the channel. What about time? Firuzah has more time. He has slightly better position. The chess bomb engine shows white having small advantage. 0.8 is a small advantage. I would say that's about correct, because black knights have those squares. One of the things that black can do, which is maybe the reason why black played king h8, is to play knight g8 followed by f5 and try to get that knight to e4. So I'm expecting fully knight g8 with the idea of f5. I mean, he could probably have done it here with the knight e8 maybe, but you know, maybe knight g8 looks very solid because it protects the pawn on h6, and also the knight goes to e7, which is the ideal square for the knight in these positions, where it will be covering the d5 square, f5 square, and basically protecting the c6 pawn, which is especially important in the endgame. So what happened here, white decides to play bishop e2, and he actually, is Firuzah better? Yes, Firuzah is better. And bishop f5. Bishop f5. I think white got a really nice knight on c5, but he still needs to make castle, and black will successfully just play knight d7 and trade off this really nice knight on c5, and then black will have a decent position because this pawn on f4 is basically blocking white's bishop on e3, while that bishop on f6 has a free reign. I like black's position here more. So I would say black has solved all of his opening problems. So what happened here? We saw queen c8, right? Take. Then bishop e2, rook d8, queen c1. Black obviously doesn't want to take this rook because the pressure along this diagonal will make black king way unsafe, right? Especially with that h4, h5 coming up, and or queen c3, bishop c1, bishop b2 later the battery. So bishop f5, and white probably will have to castle. And then there is a huge problem with rook on a1, because at some point black actually will start thinking about taking this rook. So bishop f5. I think black is just better here. Carlsen doing great. Yeah, he's doing great. He knows. The thing is after you have played the world championship match against somebody, you pretty well. You start to get to know that person well. Because we've been sitting and playing him every day for a month. Classical games and rapid games, right? Plus they played each other many times before in different tournaments. So these two guys, they know each other really well. I would say that probably this such acquaintance, right, when you play so many games against somebody, is actually in Magnus' favor more than in Fabi's favor, because Magnus is a very adaptable and practical player. Yeah, that's one of his strengths. He adapts. His game. He adapts his openings, to his opponent. And Fabi is more of a. I think he's more of a direct player. I mean, he has universal style, but he is more of a traditional positional sort of player. So let's see. While these guys are thinking, because only thing I can see is like basically castles, and then black plays knight e7, exchanges this knight on c5, or plays a5 like computer does with the idea of a4, opening the a file for the rook. Because if you open the a file for the rook, then you don't need to move that queen from c8. Okay, so knight e7, knight e3. These guys are blitzing out these moves because they can foresee the opponent's. That is true. That is true. I'm not saying he's a coward or he's doing. Yeah, he's he's just playing what he believes in, which is important. It's sort of like you're defending your play style. There's nothing wrong with it. Also, it's a great style. It gave him a lot of wins in a lot of tournaments, right? Gave him chance to get to the candidate, and he is now twice, right? He's been twice in the candidate tournament, I think, maybe 3 times even, and one world championship match behind him. All right, so black actually decided to go for and take this rook, which I think probably not the best. But it's okay, right? I mean, otherwise this queen on c8 kind of looks dumb. So this is the reason why I like computer move here, a5, because white will have no easy time to play knight e5 and closing off this bishop. And if he plays knight d3, then a4, and then a lot of pressure, leaving that e6 square for the queen. So the idea is as soon as the white knight goes to d3, like queen can go to e6. Okay, so let's see what happened here. Knight of 6, very logical, but now black sort of accepts that his pawn e7 is weak, and that e5 square will be under white control. Knight e5, what is so incorrect about it? Knight e5, I like this move actually. Actually knight has to go, right? Knight takes e5. And now there is a question of how to recapture on e5, which is pretty critical. Here recaptured with the knight, which is the human decision. But I really like also to think about fe5, because then bishop goes to h6 at some point, right? Bishop really gets that square, and if piece blocks on e6, then knight g5, c5, bishop c4. All right, but okay, 95 also makes sense. It's sort of like a long range plan, right? White is just trying to go for that g4 maybe, queen c3, bishop c1, bishop b2, and he makes his bet on this long diagonal. Does NGM play Alekhine defense unironically? I don't know. Actually, hi guys, just got back from work. What did you miss? You missed Alekhine defense by Magnus, and you missed Firuza playing Nakamura in a heavy. This game is like, it looks like 2 40 years old guys playing chess, right? In fact, they are like both the sharpest players on the planet, and they play this closed position absolutely like the old guys. Yeah, it's like it's unreal. Knight f3, I expect f5, knight e7, and I expect a draw at some point, because I don't think white can break through. I mean, Nak is just being way too solid. He plays Queen's Gambit for a very long time, I think for a decade, maybe more. I mean, he used to play King's Indian a lot, if you guys remember. I mean, he beat Gelfand, had a lot of beautiful wins there, but then he switched to Queen's Gambit to play the most solid events, like going for a draw with black and try to beat everybody with white, which is pretty standard. Yeah. Well, sometimes he whips it out. I mean, that's pretty standard. 97 allows that. Okay, so black is hoping if white plays f5 too early, then he just takes, and then knight goes to f6, right? Knight goes back to g8, knight f6, rook e8, and white gets this hole in e4, and white can't really play e4, so all white has to do is now go to basically rook g2, h4, h5, and then go for this g5 break at some point. And also there is such a thing as black is trying to play f6, e5, but as soon as black plays f6, white will start considering playing e4, because now that pawn on e6 will be weak, and black will be unable to take on e4, really have to wait for... So it's a cat and mouse waiting game. Let's go back to Fabi's game, because it's way more interesting. So I was saying queen c3 with idea of bishop c1, bishop b2 is interesting, bishop d4 maybe okay. So maybe Fabi is trying to play like bishop c3, bishop b2, and then queen e1, right? Put that queen on h4, really close. So he's trying to get the bishop on this diagonal first, rather than wait for the queen on c3. One of his best games too. All right. So knight d7 makes sense. You know, that knight on e5 is a monster, right? And ideally, black just needs really to play h6 or h5 and king h7. But what black really needs to do, he needs to exchange this knight. And I think white really should have kept this knight, which is the reason why computer plays queen c3 to meet knight d7, which is probably knight f3. Because, you know, being exchange up and it's just pure exchange, right? It's just pure exchange, no pawns even. And it's just probably not enough, to be honest. I mean, that bishop on e5 is very strong, yeah, but if black can just double his rook on the d file, then try to trade the light squared bishop. Maybe c5, maybe c6 is not accurate, yeah? You see, guys, yeah, the computer plays rook d2, so he can double the rooks on the d file at the cost of the pawn. I think that was actually more accurate, because now after queen c3, black rooks have no access to the d file. And if he plays rook d7, he has to watch out for g4. Right, so that's the thing. So rook e2 now pretty slow. All right, so let's go back to some analysis here. So black plays knight e7, knight e3, grabs this rook, plays knight f6, knight e5, knight takes, queen e6, bishop d4, knight d7, and then they played h3. You know, sometimes people ask me why GMs play a move like h3, it looks absolutely harmless, yeah. And the response is that it prepares g4, it also gives you a luft, doing a lot of things. This little pawn move and prevents bishop g4 by black. So such little pawn moves are actually completely in style with the top GMs play. h5, really don't like that. So you see, suddenly the computer really likes white position. He's saying that black has to play accurately, even though he has this exchange, because that bishop on f5 is not that great, yeah, and bishop on e5 is just a monster. So this is the reason why really the computer really wants to play rook d2 here. You need to activate those rooks. So Magnus actually plays e6 inaccurate move, and h5 is a huge weakness. Potentially white can just play king f2, g4, and rook h1. But also h5 is like huge target. Probably huge inaccuracy. I mean, Fabi has 4 minutes on Carlsen. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, but Magnus plays nice, played well. He got the opening advantage with black actually. But then look at his what he's starting to do. He's playing passively. He's playing way passively, and you can't play passively against Fabi. I mean, although Fabi sacrificing in exchange, of course, is a huge new development, right? Fabiano is trying to develop a new dynamic style of play. Why? Because that's the only way you can probably beat Carlsen right now, by dynamic play. Like look at what Firuza did, right? Against Carlsen, that's how he beat him. You know, creating all that pressure, those sudden amazing attacks out of nowhere. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Fire. Good evening, guys. Blacks looks solid. Yes, it does look solid, but queen g3 the computer doesn't like, because rook d2. You see it, guys, right? Black rook gets the square on d2, and then king runs to e8, but basically that rook gets to d2, and then black can even, you know, just give up that exchange for that bishop on e2, just to alleviate that pressure, and black will be probably fine. But rook d2 is also at the same time like hitting all those pawns there on the second rank. This was inaccurate. So the computer suggests queen c1, bishop c3, with the idea of then going queen e3 or bishop a1. I don't know. It's really not so simple to play this position. So let's see, h5, c5 with the idea of bishop c4 was actual advantage for white, right? Because white gets back his stuff, his exchange, king f7, second line. Again, c5 with the idea of bishop c4 is interesting. Instead, queen g3, and then of course black plays rook d2 immediately. Of course, he plays rook d2 and bishop h5, yeah? Bishop h5. So probably Fabi thought that black doesn't have this move because of bishop h5, gh5, queen g7, king e8, queen h8, and queen takes a8. Yeah, but black probably will go back just on f7. Bishop f3, white is trying to hang on to his bishop pair. Now he wants to play queen g5 followed by g4. Well, what happens if black plays rook d3 here? Right, rook d3, and the idea is if white plays queen g5, then black just plays rook takes f3. Yeah, that bishop is a monster, I agree. Hi guys, hi Manchesters. So now black has to play rook d3 and prepare this rook f3 at some point. I really like this move, rook d3. Yeah, so it's been played, so it's just pure prophylaxis, prevents white's queen g5 coming, right? Because rook f3 and white will be worse. So probably queen f2 back. You have to play queen f2 back, I think. And then something's going on. So what happened here? So Nakamura actually plays f6, and now is the question, does he really want to play e5? Yeah. And I don't know, it looks kind of fishy to me. It really does look fishy. One of the computer suggestions to play queen d2 to sort of wait for that e5 move, and then white is going to probably take on e5 with the d pawn, f takes e5, and then play f5 or something. Or maybe he's just going to play e4 right away, yeah, because those knights on d7, e7 are way too passive. So in general rule, knight on f3, knight on c3 are always better than the knights on d7 and e7, right? We have 4 minutes here for each player. I think white is pressing. The only question is Firouzja going to find a way to, you know, provoke Hikaru into some e5 move and then use that against black. Alright, so going back to Magnus' game. Oh, we see queen g5, and of course that is very strange, you know, coming from Fabiano. You know, he's usually very accurate with his pawn structure. So I really expected queen f2 here, because black cannot make progress. But queen g5, and black response was rook a d8. It's not bad. I mean, rook f3 can wait. And now, I don't know, now look, black looks good, yeah? The moment ago, just a moment ago in this position, black rooks on d8 and a8 look very silly. But look at this position 2 moves later. I think black rooks just improved hugely, yeah? There is no g4. This rook on d3 is like really badass rook. Okay, yeah, rook d3 was very strong. Magnus really wants to remove the bishop pair. He does, but first of all he improves his pieces and he puts that unworking rook on a8. It was like basically being a lazy rook, and now it's on d8. It's doing a lot of good things. So let's see how the situation changed here. Rook d3. Queen f2 probably had to be played, instead queen g5, but then simple rook d8. And I don't know, if white plays like something like queen h6, then just king e8, yeah? King e8, and then, for example, queen g5, then king just runs, because there's always queen d6. And once the black king arrives to c8, this is basically game over, because the reason why bishop on e5 was so powerful, because the black king could have been under attack if it happened to be on h7, right? But with that king very close to running to the queen side and having control over the only open file, yeah, black definitely is playing for a win here. So king f2, yeah, this is a very famous king run, yeah, very famous king run. Reminds me of that game which was on the phone, Android game, right? Remember there was like Temple Run or something? I never played it, but I see a lot of people's, you know, they always that games where you run and you collect stuff, like jump and run, yeah. So and then there is another sort of run. We have a Forest Run, yeah, Forest Gump run. So I don't know, the king on f7 doesn't look like Forest Gump to me though, I have to admit it. You know, it's kind of stretched to visualize him that way. All right, so let's see what happens here. White really was impatient. He played e4 and he completely missed knight g6. That was very tricky, Nakamura. Yeah, you gotta watch out for the tactics. I mean, in terms of tactics, Nakamura, I think he's doing puzzle rush like every day for the last couple of years. Yeah, so he's a very specialist in all these little tricks. And Firuzai, he sees tactics, but I think Nak is much better at tactics. So here, take on d5, knight f4, d6 has to be played. Otherwise, black just takes on e2, takes on d5, so d6, and now we see queen d6, knight d3, and look at this position. Yeah, black is a pawn up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Black is a pawn up. White can't really take this pawn on e6. However, black's pawn on c6 is kind of weak. Yeah. So I really like this knight h4 move. It takes away the f4 square from black knight. Black has to play rook fe8. There is no way he should give up this pawn on e6 so easily. And the question is, what is white going to do? Because if you attack something like rook e3, the knight goes to c4, and black is just much better because knight on c4, if he gets there, he attacks the pawn on d6 and a3. Black also wants to play knight b6, of course, with the same idea. So white is really uncomfortable here. I like the computer suggestion where white goes knight g6, knight e7, attacking that pawn on c6. So we see very, very sharp endgame. Now, this is actually becoming interesting, right? First it started off as the Queen's Gambit declined, a lot of maneuvering, closed board, but now we see some fireworks. Isn't black knight trapped? No, it is not. I mean, rook f3, knight c1, right? Rook d1, knight f4, there is no way to attack this knight. So this knight is safe, because he has so many ways out, and white has to think about protecting that pawn on d6 and creating some counterplay, because he's pawn down. So let's go back to Caruana versus Carlsen. We see a lot of action here. We see king f2. So Magnus goes very active here. King g3, of course, the second rook goes in, and black is winning. Black is absolutely winning. So Fabi just played king f2 right into his opponent's. He simply self-destructs here because you don't allow Magnus to do this stuff to you. Black is just winning. I mean, black's attack now is real. I mean, look at this position 5 moves ago. Yeah, it looks like white is attacking, yeah? But this, but here in 5 moves, and black is just basically winning. Yeah, I mean, Fabi is self-destructed. You know, the one thing about Fabi is, you know, he's not really a dynamic attacking sort of player like Sheriff or Tal, yeah? So he is more positional player. So he is trying to force himself to play these sort of positions, but they just don't work out for him well. I mean, especially against world-class defenders like Magnus, just not that great. Rook d2, knight f4, rook d2. Okay, rook d2, then you have knight f4, g5, correct. Yes, knight f4 or g5 immediately. Yeah, but g5, you see, he missed knight g2 now, right? It just gives white that extra tempo. So knight f4 immediately was better, because then you keep that pawn, even though it's doubled on h4, right? And now after knight g2, black has to play knight f4, and black gives up a pawn, which is not what he wanted to get. So he should have played knight f4 immediately, and kept the pawn. It's double pawn, but still a pawn. It's still important. And this way he just, okay, so he miscalculated, yeah. Alright, so the computer is about equal, says about equal. I think it's also about equal. That pawn on d6 is very strong, and there is no way for black to take it without losing or exchanging this f6 pawn. And then it's knight e4, knight c5 coming. Yeah, black has to be careful actually here. He's also, the time is close, yeah, and Fabi lost the game because he basically completely disrespected black's piece play. You don't allow those rooks to get in on these files, man. You just don't. Because these rooks, they're heavy pieces, you know. It's called heavy piece for a reason. It is called heavy piece for a reason. And if you allow to get those heavy pieces, just to point them at your king, and he plays king f2, king g3, king h4, right into the mate, that was not a great game. I mean, he definitely had compensation, but then he self-destructed. That queen of g5 was doing absolutely nothing. So okay, let's see what here. e5. Yeah, I mean, but okay, even it's old news, you know, the sense of fairness never gets old, yeah, or like justice is never too old to be meted out, right? So, you know, it's like a reminder of, you know, how people got treated, and make sure history doesn't repeat itself. That's the whole point. Okay, so 94, king g7, knight g3. I really like white's position now. I really like, you know, this kid, you know, I'm very surprised he's like only, what, 17 now maybe? Or 18, maybe 17. Yeah, the way he plays endgames is like really good. I tried to kill him in the World Rapid Championship. It was 2 years ago. I really got great position out of the opening, pair of bishops, huge advantage. I could not beat him the endgame. So this guy is very good. Is still 16? Oh, okay. Really? I thought he was 16 like a couple years ago. No, Fabian got crashed. That's the whole point. Fabi self-destructed. There's a difference. He had great position, and then he just basically self-destructed. He allowed all of his opponents, all of his rooks, which had no squares, to enter his camp, and then basically just, you know, destroy his king by playing all these moves, which gave squares to the black king, to the black rooks. It is self-destruction. That's the only thing you can call it, actually. I mean, it's traditionally been called so. So c5, black is trying to create some play. I think what's going on here. So white missed the rook c2 move, yeah. White missed rook c2, fixing that c6 pawn, because after c5, black manages to get rid of his very, very important weakness on c6, and then the a3 pawn is now a factor. It might get weak, right? I mean, especially after exchange, and then you know, b4 break, knight c4 comes, rook e3, potentially, not right now though. So king h, knight f5, king h7. White does gets his knight on f5. You know, this knight is beautiful, of course, protects the pawn on d6. However, now what, right? Now what? That is the real question. So king f2 looks very good. You bring the king closer to the center. You sort of get those e3 square under control. This also doesn't look too shabby. So taking on c5, probably knight takes. Knight takes is a more human move. Because if you take with the rook, that's sort of, you really want to keep that rook on e5, but on the other hand, if you take with the rook, then you get the knight on e5. Okay, so Hikaru, he is an old fox, so he is a very sly fox. So rook c5, and rook c3 the threat, and if rook f3, then knight e5 with the tempo. So I don't know, this looks pretty drawish. Why they sort of saying, if you play rook c3, I'm going to play rook f3, but of course black is going to play knight e5, I think. You know, centralize his knight. Carlsen really understands how Fabi reacts to certain provocation and crazy color. Exactly. That's what I was talking about when I mentioned that, you know, Carlsen adapted to Fabiano's chess, overall chess, the whole chess. It's not just the openings, it's the play style. It's also certain positions, how he reactions. Yeah, very, very, very good psychological victory for Carlsen, of course. That's true. Which is why it is important when you're younger, when you're 16, 17, even 20, you can still sort of mold your style. Which is why this is absolutely fantastic that Firuza gets to play these great players when he's only 16, right? Because normally you need to get invited into such top events, and I don't think he's been invited to the Grand Prix yet or Grand Circuits, right? So far he's being, so he gets the experience he would never get otherwise. And that is very good news for him. He gets to play the world champion, world number 2, 3, 4, 5, just playing blitz games where he has pretty good chance to actually show that he's not worse and learn, and at the same time score points, which is very good for his boost of confidence in the future. Yeah, he did play in Vikebase. I think it was first time, right? Well, it's not about ignoring him anymore because he didn't qualify for the candidates, he didn't qualify, he didn't do really well in the World Cup or something, right? He still needs to show a lot of things before he can be considered to be a very serious contender, because it's one thing, you know, he can be really good in blitz, rapids, and the completely other thing is if you can demonstrate this ability in the classical chess, which is much tougher. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and those things happen, right? I mean, he was not ready. It's like Magnus, right? He ran into me in 2005 and 2007, right? And of course, at that time, I was playing just stronger than him. So I beat him twice there. But then, you know, he won the World Championship match, and in 2013, when we played in the Single Cup, he crushed me 2-0, right? So again, it's just a matter of time. Matter of time and matter of how far can you progress doing work on chess. All right, so what's going on here? We see this great endgame. White is trying to go for this rook c8, rook b8 mate sort of thing, I guess. You know, trying to utilize this knight on f5, although I don't see exactly how he can mate, create this mating attack, because of rook c7, just take, rook c3, followed by 3, a2. But rook c7 does look like a threat, right? Because if black takes immediately, then take rook c3, rook b7. The threat is c8 with a check, and if king goes, then knight d6, a3, queen, rook takes, knight takes, and then rook a7, and black is not in time. So maybe rook d3, which is computer move, yeah. The idea is if rook c7, then rook 3 takes on d6. White loses a pawn, important pawn. And rook b3, of course, also comes to mind here. But then probably rook a5. And if a3, then probably the same thing with rook c7 then. So the last steps on the top are incredibly difficult. It's not only the last two steps, man. Try to qualify through the World Cup. That's the nightmare. Or any other way, right? And it will be very hard for him to qualify by rating, because that spot is taken by Giri or by some other top player who really are very careful about their rating. I mean, Giri refused to play a couple of tournaments last year at the end because he didn't want to risk his rating. So these guys, you know, they calculate the average rating in order to qualify for the candidates like far in advance. Well, he's not overhyped. Everybody agrees. You know, he plays absolutely fantastic chess, very strong chess for his age, right? I don't think I was that strong when he was 16. I did win the Tilburg tournament at 16, but the way he plays is, of course, probably stronger. I mean, especially considering how tough the modern field is. You know, there are much more. There are just many more players. Okay, rook b2 check. Black is just trying to push this pawn, and I think king g2. What is black missing? Oh, I know what he missed. Rook b2, king g3, a3, a2. If a2, then rook ac7. Is it? Rook a7, king g8. You cannot play king g6 because rook takes d7, rook g7 mate. But if king g8, that means white just grabs that pawn on h6, and then h pawn starts to go. Black knight is fixed on the d7 square. Oh, he got flagged! Oh my god. Wow, white got flagged in this position. My god. Okay, let's check it out. Did it really happen? Chess24.com. He got flagged in the position where white was much better. Wait. Watch live. And what happens? And we're gonna see this probably, yeah? We don't see their faces. What happened? Yeah. Okay, so they put the result in, and basically he got flagged. Wow. Wow, what a flag by Nakamura. Yeah, Alerzak has connection problems. Yeah, okay, but that's the problem of online chess. This is a huge problem in online chess, right? If somebody, ISP decides to suddenly make a test or, gets that sudden glitch in the connection, right? Then you're basically screwed. And this is a very important tournament. This win or draw is like basically costs you like at least like $5,000-$10,000, right, in the prize money. So it's bloody expensive, which is why at their level, if you're playing this tournament with such prizes, you better order that really reliable high-speed digital internet. Yeah. Yeah, because no, CIA is not everywhere. Yeah, Naka is so lucky here. He is very lucky, extremely lucky. He was really worse here. Yeah, I think he was really lucky here, because White definitely has an advantage. I mean, he went for this a3 very fast push here, but it was a gamble, and it paid off basically because Alireza got disconnected. Yeah. All right. So okay. So this happens. This is the one of the perks of playing in online tournaments. You get flagged, or you get disconnected. Sometimes it's not fault of your own. I noticed, for example, that I'm on cable, right? It's some Russian cheapest cable. You pay basically 400 rubles a month, which is not bad. I think I get 5 meg download and 2 meg upload speed, which is probably not bad, because 400 rubles a month is how much is that? It's like less than $10, yeah, basically. Yeah, and even though I'm on cable, I noticed that every night there is a time when I'm getting disconnected. It's like, it's not really long, maybe 5-10 minutes, but I think it's almost every night when, my ISP basically disconnects me doing some work or something, and things like this happen. So you gotta watch out for that. So yeah, I moved back to Russian because my wife is Russian. So okay, so we see Carlson playing Caruana, and we see IQP, right? We see this very famous IQP line, and this should be interesting. A4 is considered not to be that great because it gives that b4 square, and then standard IQP stuff is coming. White bishop going to g5, queen e2, rook d1, rook e1, knight e5, going for that d5 break. Black is going to probably try to get that knight on b4, bishop d7, or b6, bishop b7, and put that thing on d5 to block white bishop. So it's always a question where white pawn should be, on a3 or on a4. Here, the reason white plays a4 is to prevent that b5 thing, right? So this is like theory. This is like a lot of games here. So let's check it out for a second. Analysis board. How did they transpose it? Okay, standard stuff, right? So it's d4, knight f6, c4, knight f3, d5, knight c3, takes. So queen's gambit accepted. c5, knight, bishop takes, knight c6, castles. Take, bishop e7, and you see like there is a huge number of games here. I mean, it's a lot of transpositions from other openings happen here, so it's so bishop e7, right? So traditionally white plays bishop g5 here. I think I covered some Stainis versus Zukertort match games. They played it back in the 1800s, yeah, 1886. They played this type of position, and Zukertort played bishop f4 here. And Alireza disconnected, but he's still gonna get the 0 for that game, and they probably gonna wait for him for the second game. But if he doesn't connect like in half an hour, I'm pretty sure he's gonna get forfeited for the match, because there is no way, because it's still kind of, well, it's not really, I mean, it depends, right? If this ISP's fault, if some server goes down, some accident, then it's no fault of your own, but you still lose. That is the unpleasant thing. This remembers you to Botvinnik Petrosian. I didn't get it. I didn't get there yet. I'm probably not gonna get there very soon. I'm planning to cover those matches. I'm actually planning to cover all World Chess Championship matches way until probably until Botvinnik. Yeah, because after Botvinnik it's modern era. So all Botvinnik matches up to Boris Spassky, and then Spassky Fischer is already a new era starts. So it's I'm probably not going to cover those games. It's more valuable to study all classic games and the new. No, it's not valuable. I mean, it's valuable to study any top games, but basically what you need to do is it helps to have that history knowledge. It does, but modern games are decided in the opening transposition to the middle game and middle game to the end game, and basically you don't need that old stuff to study. You can study on the modern stuff, which is a lot. And remember, there is a lot of material, right? There is a lot of material every month. There are games played. I think Chess Base database. Chess Base have great databases. I think they have 17, 18, 19. Every year they make a database with all games played up to that point, right? And that database is increasing almost. I'm not gonna say exponentially, yeah, but it's increasing every year. Like so much stuff, so many games you have to look, so many games openings you have to look, lines to remember. So what happened here? 95. So White plays bishop e3 instead of bishop g5. I'm a little bit surprised here. The computer suggests d5, but this is completely equal. So bishop e3 is actually third line, right? And White is going to play 95, and he actually plays this because of this a4 a6 inclusion. Because if Black takes on e5, White takes on e5, then he plays f4 a5, then Black pawns on the queen side, they are stuck and on the weak square, right? So I actually like this Magnus approach, this a495 thing. I think Black mistake is playing this move. I kind of like computer suggestion queen c7. And the idea is if you just put that rook on d8, which is how Karpov played against me in my IQP games against him. And Black needs that rook on d8, and then bishop d7 goes to e8. Because if you play bishop d7 immediately, I think, okay, maybe Black can equalize here, but White gets a very nice bishop pair advantage. Right, so rook a d8 was probably preferable. Because this exchange is just this straight exchange is like good for White, yeah, because you allow White bishop to get to d5 to this very strong diagonal, pinning that pawn on b7 for free. It's inaccurate by Caruana, inaccurate. I'm very surprised. Usually he's very accurate, but again, it's only 14 minutes, it's a rapid game. Thank you for subscribing, persistence module. Wow. Alireza Naka going to play again since last position. Really? Really? Okay. Since last position, are you sure? That'll be something. No forfeit. They start from where they left it. Really? Wow. Okay, but come on. That is not fair to Naka also. That is not fair to Naka. I mean, it's not fair to yeah, that's not fair. I mean, and if they, yeah, okay, I see what he's saying, but they said on that Chess24 channel, basically they can do whatever they want. Yeah, that's one of the problems. But let's go back to Carlsen game anyway, and we see that White has two bishop pair, and especially this huge bishop on d5, and then he's just gonna play. The computer actually gives this pawn on b2 because Black can never take it, right? Rook b1, rook takes b7, so rook d8. I like this. Let's go here. So what happened was bishop e3, 95, queen c7 or queen d6 is the first line. Actually, queen c7 stopped being the first line because of f4. And if rook d8, then rook c1. This looks, no, rook c1 is bad. Queen e2 probably, yeah. Queen e2, and if you take, then queen f2. Some tactics here. And rook d6, computer bullshit, to be honest. Okay, so maybe it's playable. You need to analyze this. Queen takes d5, take knight d5, and we saw that the computer says you have to play rook d8. I completely agree here, because now you see it's completely different position. White doesn't get this bishop on d5, and bishop on c4 is not that great compared to this position, right? In this position, White's bishop is on d5 already doing a lot of damage, a lot of pressure, and So let's see, are they gonna replay this game? Or are they gonna start new? When are they gonna start it? It's like so many questions, right? Draw would be fair. No, it's not. It's not fair. It's like I mean, it's probably the least of evil because it will make both of them unhappy. Naka because he could win on time, and Firouzja because he would lose his chances to win in that superior endgame, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, probably, of course, probably. So I don't know. So let's see if they're gonna continue playing this. But so far, I see the result stands. And we see this position, right? King f1. The computer likes really g3. And I don't know why he does that. Basically, white will probably play bishop e4 here. The only reason why to play g3 is maybe because white wants to play bishop g2, put his bishop all the way back out of the harm's way. And but the threat is rook a d8, of course. And if you take on e6, you can take on c6, but this is going to be very close to a draw because that pawn is on a4. If that pawn was on a2, then white would be better because then you set up the very famous structure where you have pawns ab versus ac, right? And that is like really famous structure which is considered to be worse for black, but only in the rook endgame. If you have bishops, then probably it's a draw, yeah? So black probably has to play rook a d8. He has to, otherwise he's going to lose the d file as well. I mean, he can try take and play rook d8, but that means leaving white with a pair of bishops in this endgame. He's not probably going to do that. So I expect rook a d8. And the result still stands. What was Eric LeBron like? I didn't know Eric LeBron much. I think I played only one classical game against him. Because that guy, he met that supermodel, I think. I don't remember what was her name. And then he disappeared from chess, right? He simply disappeared from chess. It was probably, just making sure no other chess players would sort of, steal his wife away. Like, remember Gormally, was dating Caruana, Ariana, Levon Zaronian's wife. And then Levon just basically, stole this girl from him. I don't want to talk badly about these people because they turn out to be a great, wonderful pair. They went through a lot of times together, so it was absolutely great to see them together. And unfortunately, she passed away, right? So that's a huge, again, condolences to Levon. But sometimes you gotta steal the woman if you think she's right to you, yeah? Well, not to be recommended. It takes a lot of risks. And, yeah. So Eric went into banking, yeah? I didn't know that. He had a successful career in the Wall Street. Yeah, I mean, he was probably... Remember, guys, at that time, there was this huge push, I think. Probably around that time, yeah. There was like this bank in the US that was really bought into this hype of the chess players being so intelligent and smart and trying to predict moves ahead. So they ran the special program for the chess players, inviting them to work as bankers, as investment bankers. And yeah, that was incredible. And I know they invited a lot of GMs, and a lot of GMs actually lost money. Yeah, don't quote that. Don't quote that. Yeah, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, not just him. I think also Nick DeFermin worked there. I know for sure that Max Lugi was there for some time, and some other GMs worked there, and maybe some of them just basically quit chess because of that job. Yeah, but that bank was like bloody amazing. It just trusted all those players. No education, just sort of like, no education at all. Then they decided to run some education courses, for these GMs, and some GMs really liked it, and some did really well. I was like 18 at the time, dude. No. No, I wasn't interested in that stuff. Besides, I had no say in what I'm doing. My dad was like a mafia boss. Yeah, whatever he says, you do it. All right. So rook a d8 played. I don't know why he took so much of his sweet time to do this, and So this Nakamura-Firouzja situation isn't clarified yet. Rook d7, and now we're probably gonna see this either rook c1 or bishop c6 and rook c1. I think Magnus is gonna go for rook c1 maybe here. Yeah, he does, because he really doesn't want to alleviate pressure by exchanging too many pieces here. So rook b6, maybe b4 actually, because knight b4, bishop c5, right? And then bishop d6, bishop d7. I really think this rook d6 was kinda strange. Knight c4, maybe not that easy to find, yeah? But rook d6 is really risky. Because after this b4, black pawns are just being, full targets, right? And you cannot take on b4 because of that bishop c5 thing. Knight d3, and then just bishop d6, bishop b7, a5, and then white king walks up to that a5 pawn, grabs it, and basically white wins the game. So very risky play. Yeah, of course Magnus plays b4. Of course he finds this move. I mean, yeah, Magnus is the reason he is Magnus is because he finds all these little resources, right? He finds all the best computer-like first lines and resources in endgames, especially like this one. It was like last year in his prime. He could find all these most unpleasant, moves that you didn't like. He knew that you didn't. He knew you don't like these moves, and he's gonna find them. Banker's trust, right? All right. Okay. So g5, exactly like computer, yeah. And now the computer was saying something about h3 and b5. You really would love to play, but that means black's just gonna take on b5 and play knight d4, hoping that white gets the pawn on b7 at the cost of his one of his bishops, which would raise black chances to make a draw to very high. Rook c4 is probably not to be recommended, although I'm not sure why rook c4 is so bad. Rook c5, computer suggestion, h3, also doesn't look so bad. And b5, knight d4, I'm pretty sure. Alright, so let's check again on these guys. They still haven't started, so there's gonna be something there. So let's see, rook f d8, king f1, rook d7, bishop f3, rook d8, take, rook c1, rook d6, b4, g5, second line. So rook c4 is bad. It's not bad, but it's just not doing anything, right? Because b5, knight e5, so king g7, right? So if you play b5, just want to be very sure about it. So take, and knight d4 is in fact the first line, because knight a5 would be too passive, and knight d4 is the first line, and okay, black might hold. All right, so what is the... This is the reason why Carlsen is now thinking. Just rook b1. Yeah, rook b1 looks reasonable, I agree, but it's kind of passive. I mean, it's not kind of move you really want to make. Because you already played rook c1 and your rook is going to b1, yeah. So, see, Magnus likes to play active chess. So rook c5 was the top 3 line in the computer, and but not on this one. And white is ready to play b5, and probably black is forced actually to take on b4 and go into this line. So I really like rook c5, even though the computer says not the best. But after knight b4, bishop b7, black. First of all, it's important that black knight loses his, protected post, yeah, because knights are best at the protected posts. I mean, isolated pawn is the square in front of the isolated pawn is the best, but any protected square is good. Technically winning, isn't it? It can't be technically winning because material is equal, right? When you get extra pawn by white in a position like this, then you can start talking about technical win, but not before that. I mean, right now it's advantage, but it's not quite winning. Right, so we are going back here. I don't know, they're probably waiting for Firouzja to connect, but if he doesn't connect, then I'm not sure if you guys can check the rules in the tournament. They have the rules probably for a situation exactly like this. I mean, they should, yeah. They should have something like that. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, Fabiano is very strong in the end games, so maybe he can come up with something. So he does take on b4, first line, and bishop b7 should be first line because bishop g5, b6, yeah, keeps that pawn. On the other hand, you take on g5, you sort of make these weaknesses here, right? And it's very tempting, actually. It's a great position to play with white. You basically have free advantage. You're playing for a free advantage and for two results. Oh, rook c8 check. With the idea of bishop c5, black is forced to play rook d8, and Magnus goes for this endgame instead. Somehow, I'm not impressed with this. I think Magnus has more chances to win with the two bishops and the rook. Remember, guys, I always said how rook and bishop is way stronger in the endgame than rook and knight. And he willingly just exchanged that very strong rook for black rook. I mean, white is better, but I mean, this is very hard to win now. Okay, so king goes to c4. Maybe then to b5 and then bishop b6. Yeah. I mean, very unpleasant for black because knight on b4 is now completely cut off. So maybe, I don't know. Practically, this looks still very good for white. Yeah. I mean, just to be honest here, I think bishop b7 probably is still better for white than this position, but I can't argue with this though. Yeah, king g7, king e2. I mean, the computer knows how to play this, yeah, but king d2, king f5. Okay, makes sense. So we started blitzing out. Maybe Magnus has been studying some obscure endgames. Well, no, I think his idea is that basically he walks with his king to b5, then plays bishop b6, grab this pawn on a5, and if he does that with the bishop already on b7, that pawn on a4 is becoming a monster. So king walks to b5 and then bishop b6. How is white going to prevent that? That is a big question. That is a huge question. Huge question. Bishop c7. Woo. And the evaluation jumps immediately, yeah? So the computer says black should play h5, push these pawns on the king side as far as possible to prepare for some counter pawn push, probably. I don't know. This looks h3. All right, let's quickly go here. Take, bishop b7, a5, king here, king g7, king d2, f5, king c3, king f6, right? King c4, bishop c7, h3. I think we have this position. h3, g4, king b5, g4, and king b5. Yeah. Basically, white's just going with this caveman style on the black pawns. Yeah. So that was the reason behind his rook exchange, rook c8. Magnus evaluated this position as probably very close to winning. This is why he's Magnus, right? Other GMs would probably keep the rook on board. I would definitely keep the rooks on board. Would be really afraid to go into this line, thinking that I might screw up my advantage. But turns out that white is probably technically just winning because. At the same time, if black plays king e5, right, there is this trick. Let's take a look at it. If king e5, then bishop b6, then black can just play here and king d6, right? All right, take on h3 first, maybe. King d4, and there's this trick with king c5 where white king is stuck on a5 now. But of course, after f4, the king gets away, and it looks like a draw. But not an easy one. Yeah, not an easy one. Check here, knight d4, a5. Let's read as king b7. You have to play this move, and if takes, then yeah. So white is probably winning. Yeah. King c6, of course. I'm sorry, king c6. Of course, you play king c6, and this should be a draw because with the king on c7 should be a draw. Yeah. All right. So let's see what happens in the game. Let's see if Fabi plays king e5. He has to play king e5, I think, which is the only move. To try to block white king on a5, right? So he finds this king e5. You can find the rules online, very well hidden. Yeah, so black is going for this plan with the bishop b6 takes king d6, and white can just probably play a waiting game here. Probably he can take on g4, play g3, or something. What else he can do? Can he play for check? He can, but why? Whoa. Yeah, so maybe not so simple to win. Yeah, if black gets to c5 in time, 27 years due to World War I. No, there's no way Magnus is going to be champion for 27 years. I'm sorry, the times are different. I mean, even Gary, who was considered to be one of the most dominant chess players in his generation, right? He held the title from 85 to 2000 when Kramnik killed him. So 15 years for Gary. 15 years. That was huge in modern age. Of course, you had the World Championship cycle, which was 3 years, which was also probably very good for the world champion, because now the World Championship cycles are every 2 years, which makes the challenges much more often. So white is actually counting here on black's pawn on g4 being on the light square. So he's going to try to create the a-pass pawn, push it together with, and combine that with the bishop. Hitting this square. So bishop e4, nice. I actually think Caruana should have taken on b6, because now his king doesn't get to c5. What is he doing? But maybe, okay, h5, h4 might be a threat. What about g3 now? Maybe g3, yeah? g3 probably looks good. And then bishop g6. Okay, king takes e5 first, but now g3. g3, and then just fix this pawn here on the light squares. Yes, this looks winning for white, yeah? Yeah, he played his worst chess against Kramnik match. Yes, I agree. I actually agree here, and the results are actually standing here. So what happened here? King e5, king b5, king e5. What was that? Bishop b6, king here, take. All right, I mixed it up. Yeah, it's all right. Take. Bishop b4, h5, and this looks winning after g3. Yeah, okay, so Magnus is winning. Knight c3 and bishop c2, which is correct move, not bishop g6 because of knight d1, but bishop c2, take away the d1 e4 squares from black knight, and now white king just walks over to the king side, picks both pawns up here, and bishop and 2 pawns winning against knight. So it's a very simple win for white here. Yeah, so you see the difference. If black king was on c5 here, and the king on c7. King on c7 is way too passive. So you see that's the reason why the computer says you need to take and play king d4. King d4, because that king will be closer to the pawns and closer to c5 square, because this position is just lost. All right, so Carlsen wins the second game in a very technical style. Well, he didn't win yet, but he is going to win this because this is winning. Did white have to take on g4? But I liked it. You know, he basically fixed the black pawn on the light square, right? This pawn chain is on the light squares. I think black should not have played h5. I think black should play h6 here, which is computer first line, because when you play h5, you lose both of these pawns. You know what I mean? But when you play h6, you only lose the g4 pawn, and maybe you get some chances still, right? Any update on the Naka? I don't see any update here. The game hasn't started. The previous game still has the same result. And after bishop c2, I think Caruana just might resign this game, because he has not a single chance to draw this game. Not a single chance. I don't see a single chance for him here. Because black cannot get to these 2 pawns. What black has to do to make a draw here is just basically to give up his knight for the a pawn and exchange these 2 pawns by attacking with the king. But there is no way he can do that. Did white take... No, I mean, you guys have to remember, it's not that he was afraid of Kramnik because he said that Kramnik was going to be his champion. You guys have to remember something, and that is that Kramnik was actually Gary's protege. He was in Botvinnik school, which was later Kasparov school, right? So Kramnik also was working and helping Gary in his match against Anand, right? So he knew the inside out of Gary's preparation. He knew his style. He knew his working style. So basically, Kramnik, from the beginning, when he was a kid, yeah, he was under Gary's protection. And it's like it's like family, yeah. You basically push your family member forward because you get older, you push them forward, right? Magnus is the champion since 2013, which is now what, 7 years? Okay, so Fabi resigns. Yeah, that's pretty fair result. Yeah, White is just winning this. All right, so this was the second game of the Fabiano versus Carlsen. We have not have words from these guys. Yeah, let's go quickly to the chess24.com. This is definitely not good for the image of that tournament. Definitely not a good image because, you know, they're trying to make this prestigious online tournament, the top GMs. But because I think Firuzai is playing from France, so some French dudes messing up. It's not Firuzai, but it's some French ISPs. So if you guys call up on those French ISPs, you know, let them know that, you know, we're very angry. You know, you're disconnected Firuzai. He is our dude. Yeah, so, you know. So what's going on here? Oh, you see Jan actually commentating on the game, right? He's joining the commentary team. Wow. I've never seen Jan commentate, but he is joining the team. All right, so no update here. Guys, I have to apologize. I mean, I've done only 2 rounds, right? And not even 1 round. Only 1 round for these 2 guys, but I kind of feel tired. So, thank you for joining my stream. Thank you for joining the first 2 games. I'm just pretty tired. I've been doing this every day, and last night I was doing Title Tuesday tournament as well. I'm still kind of tired. All right, so hopefully, you know, you enjoyed the stream as much as I did. And yeah, go check out those commentators, the top players on Chess24. So enjoy the streams, and